Hi, boys and girls. It's Mrs. Morse. And if you clicked here, it means that you want to do question number 4 with a teacher. So let's go. Our goal today is going to be, right up here, to answer, this should say answer an open response question with evidence from the text. And by now you have had a chance to read An Ambassador's Job, and you may have learned what an ambassador is. An ambassador is a person that moves from their home country to live in a different country, and their job is to help the home country and the country that they live in to work together. So the question that we're going to answer today is, explain how ambassadors help countries work together. Use evidence from the text for your answer. So we need to do 2 things. We need to explain how ambassadors help countries work together. That's our first thing we have to do. And we have to use evidence from the text. Okay, so 1, 2. So we're going to be thinking about that. And remember, our answer has to answer the question. So in order for us to complete this, we have our little reading response poster here. And this video is going to do the first 2 steps, which is understanding the question and representing it. So we just kind of did a little bit with number 1, understanding. I read the question. I thought about what it was asking me to do. And I kind of am going to visualize 2 countries, and I'm going to visualize them coming together with a big heart because they're getting along and they're working together, and the ambassador's in the middle helping to do that. That person that helps them to work together and get along. Another part of understand is writing the gist. Why do we write a gist? What's the point of writing a gist? That's a lot. And while we're reading, we want to always make sure we're remembering what we're supposed to answer. So the gist is just a little tiny bit of writing at the top of the paper that just jogs our memory and reminds us about what we're supposed to be looking for answers. We don't want to write the whole thing over. We only want to write just enough to remember what we're supposed to do. I've already highlighted some important words. So we need to explain. So I'm going to write explain how ambassadors, I'm not going to write the whole thing. I'm going to write A-M-B for ambassadors. Help, that's an important word. Countries, I'm only going to do C for countries. Work together. Explain, ambassadors help countries work together. And I'm going to put evidence with an arrow to text. I have to get my evidence. I have to get my answers from this text. I can't get them from the TV show I watched yesterday or the book I read last week. They have to come from this text. So boys and girls, take a minute, copy down what the gist on the top of your paper. Your gist might be different than mine. It might just enough to remind you of what you're supposed to be doing. And I'll hold mine up, and you can pause the video, and you can write it in. All right, we are ready to move on. We did the first part, so I checked it off. And now we're ready to move on to representing. Representing means that we're going to highlight, so you need a highlighter or a pencil to underline. We're going to go through the text and highlight anything that answers the question, anything that answers the gist. And we're going to number that on the side. So if we find something, we're going to put a little number next to it. All right, so let's go through and start reading and representing. There are more than 190 countries in the world. The people in those countries speak lots of different languages. Many countries are very far apart. So how can two countries work together? So this paragraph doesn't tell me how yet. It doesn't tell me how the ambassadors help. It tells me reasons of why an ambassador might need to help. Countries, they might speak different languages. They're so far apart. But yet they need each other. They need to work together. How can they do that? They use ambassadors. An ambassador, and this is like one of those little pronunciation guides, ambassador, is a person sent by one country to represent it someplace else. Ambassadors move from their home country to live and work in another country. All right, so that doesn't really tell me how they do it. That tells me what an ambassador is. Let's go on to the next paragraph. Ambassadors work at offices called embassies. The embassy is usually in a country's capital city. The ambassador works with a team of people at the embassy. Some ambassadors represent a country at an organization, such as the United Nations. So it tells me a little bit about where ambassadors work. Does it tell me how they help countries get along or work together? Well, sometimes they go to the United Nations as a representative, okay? So they represent a country at an organization such as the United Nations. I'm going to put that down there because they are helping to work together by going to these large meetings and representing their country. And I'm going to put a little number 1 there. I'm not 100% crazy about this, but I'm going to highlight it anyways. Let's see if there's anything else on the next page. Whoops. Okay. So on the next page, let's read on. It says, well, what do ambassadors do? Oh, here we go. We are going to find something out right now. They represent their country's leaders and people. Okay, so I guess maybe they're going to other countries and they're representing what we believe in our country. They host and attend events. Okay, so they have events and parties and gatherings, and they go to these parties and gatherings to try to bring together countries. They make speeches about their home country. So I'm picturing like somebody from United States going to a different country and making a speech about us. So they're kind of teaching other people about us. They're teaching people about their country. I think that goes back to the gist. And remember, the gist was explain how ambassadors help countries work together. Well, they help them work together by teaching them about their country and attending these events and becoming friendly with them. So I'm going to highlight that. I think that answers my questions. They represent their country's leaders and people, and they host and attend events, and they make speeches about their home country. So that's 2, 3, 4. Wow, 4 pieces of information right there. Let's go to the next paragraph. The United States has ambassadors in more than 100 countries. Whoa! The American ambassador in Mexico works for cooperation between that country and the United States. Oh boy, working together, cooperation, it means the same thing. That's definitely some evidence. So cooperation between that country and the United States. The ambassador helps officials of the 2 countries come together with ideas. Listen, you got to work together. You got to listen to each other's ideas. They help officials of the 2 countries come together with ideas. So that might be like the president of one country and the president of another country coming together and working on ideas. An ambassador helps with that. For example, officials might find ways to improve business between the two countries. So they might find ways to improve business. That's another way that they work together. So I'm already, oh my goodness, 5, 6, 7. Oh my goodness, 7 pieces of information. Remember, I only need 2. If you really feel like you've gotten some good information already, you can stop. I'm going to go right to the end. Ambassadors work hard to build good feelings between their home countries and their host countries. So they build good feelings between countries. So I found 8 pieces of information. So if you need a minute to finish representing, take a minute by pausing the video. I'm actually going to stop this video and I'm going to we're going to do writing and this last part, which is looking back, in another video. So this video is going to stop. You're going to finish up representing, check it off, and come on back for the second part.